We were talking about Edward Mandell House and just the plans that these elitists have, and let me tell you, they have been nothing but patient in executing these plans. But Gwen, go ahead and just give the people a taste of what these expletives have done and what their plan was, and just how long ago it was that they formulated this crap.
Yeah, this was happening between 1901 and 1913, prior to the Federal Reserve. Okay, so this was the private meeting. These are excerpts from the secretarial notes between Edward Mandell House and President Woodrow Wilson. And I'm telling you, you can't make this stuff up. This is honest to God, for real stuff. Very soon, every American will be required to register their biological property in a national system designed to keep track of the people, and that will operate under the ancient system of pledging. By such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda, which will affect our security as a chargeback for our fiat paper currency. Every American will be forced to register or suffer being unable to work and earn a living. They will be our chattel, and we will hold the security interest over them forever. By operation of the law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions, Americans, by unknowingly or unwittingly delivering the bills of lading to us, will be rendered bankrupt and insolvent.
And when they say that, when they're talking about our birth certificates, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll get into that after King's Court. After John gets everybody good and fired up. Oh, if this isn't enough, next comes John. Oh, forever. We remain economic slaves through taxation secured by their pledges. They will be stripped of their rights and given a commercial value designed to make us a profit, and they will be none the wiser. For not one man in a million could ever figure our plans, and if by accident one or two should figure it out, we have our arsenal, plausible deniability. After all, this is the only logical way to fund government, by floating liens and debt to the registrants in the form of benefits and privileges. This will inevitably reap to us huge profits beyond our wildest expectations, and leave every American a contributor to this fraud, which we will call social insurance. Without realizing it, every American will insure us for any loss we may incur, and in this manner, every American will unknowingly be our servant. However, begrudgingly, the people will become helpless and without hope for their redemption, and we will employ the high office of the president of our dummy corporation to foment this plot against America. Take it away, John.
John King.
Yeah.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. I just had to find me a phone booth to change into my superhero uniform.
Oh, excellent, John. Excellent.
Okay, here's the King's Court for today. This country is going down the pooper, and the possibility of a violent action is getting more and more reality, or at the very least, an ever-increasing possibility. This is a game of chess, so to speak, and you, my friend, are the pawn. Any good chess player will tell you that the pawn can be used as a very strong force, as the pawn can checkmate just as good as the queen or a knight. We, the pawn. Pondering this, I began to think. We, the people. Indeed, the power structure was set up giving the willing people a voice. There are certain rights outlined in the greatest document ever created. One of these rights is the right to form a government of free people, a concept unheard of, a concept many brave people gave everything they had on a battlefield somewhere. The Truther movement, or the Patriot movement, has been going strong for a very long time. I would like to think that by now there would be a few legal eagles out there that would be willing to hold a rally for freedom and march to your local corrupt official's office, be it a congressman or senator, and present yourselves and make citizens arrest for treason. I mean, if the sovereign movement had any validity at all to all this, not far more favorable, and is far more favorable, than checkmate using the power of the pawn, or in this case, the people. There must be a few sovereign citizens out there that would file treason charges, or is the sovereign movement all BS? You bitch and whine and rattle your sabers when all you have to do is demand what is yours and take it back. Why have we not used this great power is beyond me. A revolution won by the power of the people to take back their government peacefully and without a shot fired. Checkmate. Endgame. So tell me, are you going to continue to be the pawn or the people? For those of you that are confused about tonight's King's Court, I recommend watching 2 movies. You can find them on YouTube or Google. Type in the phrase slavery by consent and season for treason. To do anything else or anything less is criminal in itself. Joe and Gwen, back to you.
Well, thank you, Johnny. You know, I was watching a video the other day called The Angry Dot. If anybody hasn't seen that, there's another YouTube video you can actually go see. But case in point, it showcases the power that we have, because here is this angry dot that's represented by 535 members of Congress. So there's 535 of them, and it only used 100 million, meaning that there's about 100 million taxpayers in this country. 100 million versus 535. You have to wonder exactly what the hell are we why have we been so bamboozled for so long? And that's the question that I have, because we all have free will and we all have God-given rights that no one can take away, not the government, no one. The only way they're taken away is when we let them take them away. And in essence, what we're doing is we're giving them away. So we need to exercise our personal sovereignty in any way, shape, or form that we can to be able to fight this monster. And hopefully, by doing so, we start a trend. And in one case, a gentleman in Texas, like I said in the last hour, spent $16, filed a claim in court, and seized a property that was abandoned or in foreclosure, and that was it. And it was the tiny dot. I'm sorry, not the angry dot. It's the tiny dot. And it's just such a fantastic portrayal of just who really does wield the power. It's like David Copperfield playing it's a smoke and mirrors act on the American public, where this little dot, this little group of people supposedly wield so much power, yet they're only 535. And with the military that actually are loyal to them, and with, you know, some government departments or whatever, you may have what, 10,000, 20,000, who cares, 100,000? It's ridiculous, folks. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's important to understand that we have the power, not them. So when we come back, we'll continue our conversation. Gwen's going to take us through some ways that we can take the power back ourselves. Don't go away. Welcome back to the Freedom Link Radio, folks. This is Joe Joseph, joined by Gwen Caldwell and John King. And right before the break, we were talking about just how screwed up things are. And you know, this Edward Mandel House, I mean, they have executed this plan almost flawlessly. And now the focus, we're gonna focus the rest of the show on what we can do to exercise our personal sovereignty. So Gwen, you've done a lot of research into this. You're fairly, I think you're very well versed in this. So go ahead and take it away.
Thanks, Joe. First, we need people to understand that when you were born and your mother signed your birth certificate, that was the registration. That was your registration into slavery. When that was delivered to the county recorder where you were born, it was then given or sold to the United States government to hold as a security, that so that they could borrow money against your birth certificate from the Federal Reserve Bank to the corporation. And people need to understand that the United States government is a de facto foreign corporation. The taxes, the laws, everything, it applies to Washington, D.C., that 10 square miles. It does not apply to us human beings. However, they had to have a way to get us into commerce with them and so that they could hold us in this place. So what they did is they gave us all a corporate name, and they franchised us by giving us this all capital name. Some people call it the straw man. If you look at all of your bills, you look at your driver's license, your credit cards, everything comes with your name written in all capital letters. That's so they can engage you in commerce under the Uniform Commercial Code. But when they took our gold away in 1933, that was the constitutional money. And so we had no legitimate legal way to pay debt. And so as I'm doing this research, it starts occurring to me that because they have to pay the debt, our debt, dollar for dollar. House Joint Resolution 192. Look it up. House Joint Resolution 192. It was signed June 5th, 1933. It says right in there that the government has to pay our debt dollar for dollar, because all the Federal Reserve notes are IOUs, and we cannot eliminate debt with IOUs. So we have to have, the only way that they could keep from being tried for treason was to have a remedy. That's their plausible deniability. Oh no, we have remedy. But they hide the remedy from the people. But there are one or two of them in a million of us who have found that remedy. And so what happens in the big picture is your birth certificate is now their security, and they're holding that security. But you have a right to take control over that security. All of that money that has been generated on your account belongs to you, and you can take control of that. Now think about that for a minute. If we had access, if everyone in this country that had a birth certificate had $2 million, let's say, in their account, and I'm telling you it's much, much, much more, but if they had $2 million, every one of us, would we need Social Security?